right, Sadiq, you're live on the air. Go ahead with your question.
I just wanted to get your take on something that I had come across, messianic secret, and apparently it stems out of Matthew chapter 16, verse 20, where one called Jesus is basically telling his disciples, not to tell anyone that he is the Messiah. Basically, so he's keeping this a secret, and this is what they call the messianic secret. Moshe Rabbeinu, he tells us in Devarim chapter 13, Deuteronomy chapter 13, verses 7 through 12, if your brother, your the son of your mother, or your daughter, the wife of your bosom, a friend, a very close friend, would entice you in secret or secretly saying, "Let us go and worship gods of others that you did not know, or your father, or that your fathers did not know."
This is a very clever question, and I'd like to take it in this direction. And no one's ever asked on air about Matthew 16:20, where Jesus instructs his disciples not to tell anyone he's the Messiah. Like, how did that get in there? Now, those of you who study the Gospels would sniff this out as a relic of the book of Mark. In the book of Mark, what is, I think, most striking about the second gospel, which is really the first chronologically, is that for the first half of the book, meaning the first 8 chapters, it's a grand secret of who Jesus really is. And that's one of the very striking features of Mark. Nobody knows who he is. And if anybody figures it out, don't tell anybody. Why would Jesus say, don't tell anyone that I'm the Messiah? As it turns out, when the true Messiah comes, the knowledge of God will cover the world as the water covers the seas. Isaiah 11, verse 9. It's that the whole world will know. It's never supposed to be a secret. But this is very much in that mystery cult. This is very much in that Gnosticism. That's what's really going on here. And you're going, what's that? So the idea that we're living in a very damaged world, the physical world is sinful. Celibacy is, in the Gospels, is not encouraged, but it is portrayed as virtuous in the same book of Matthew, not that much further on. Celibacy is virtuous? Where'd you get that from? So that anytime you hear that celibacy is virtuous, now that's big in Paul's letters, 1 Corinthians 7. Sniff. You're sniffing at Gnosticism. This world's a broken world. Everything physical is grotesque. This is very much the Manichaeist world of Augustine. That's why he found this all very attractive. The idea that this world is broken, the celestial world is what's fantastic. You need to know how to escape this terrible, wretched world. You needed secret knowledge. That's what gnosis is, knowledge. That's what the Gnostics believe in. To escape the physical, you have to have secret knowledge. And that's what's really happening here. Two, this kind of a passage and what we find in Mark is also an apologetic, but not in the way that you think. An apologetic means it's a defense. What does that mean? During the life of Jesus, during his actual lifetime, I'm almost certain that he never claimed to be the Messiah. But it was later on at some stage that people began to believe he was the Messiah who died. That happened at some stage. And then we could speculate and come up. But this is certain that during his life, people really had no clue that they were supposed to believe he's the Messiah. So when people are making the claim later on after he's dead that he was the Messiah, people are going, but why didn't he say anything, right? So they had to respond, well, it was a secret, you see? And that's this notion of the occult, this notion of the esoteric knowledge. It means hidden knowledge that only a few people have access to. And if you go a little bit further, you see that Jesus then reveals to his disciples, that's what this very famous chapter in Matthew 16 for many reasons. Jesus says to them, I'm going to have to go to Jerusalem and I'm going to suffer many things in the hands of the Jews and I'm going to be killed, but on the third day I'm going to be raised up. Peter doesn't go, oh, yeah, of course you're going to suffer and die. I've got Isaiah 53. Of course. No. He says, Lord, let that never happen to you. So this whole thing is a secret. And this idea that the whole salvation program of Christianity is a secret or a mystery is totally baked into Paul, who is much older. His writings are much older than the Gospels. Paul claims that he has special revelation that's a mystery that no one knew about, only he knows, and I'm here to tell it to you. What do you mean? But Jews for Jesus website says there are 365 prophecies. No. It's a mystery. Please see Ephesians 3. All you have to do is read Ephesians 3, 4, 5. Paul says it. This whole salvation program is a complete mystery. No one knows about it. I've got it, and I'm here to share it with you. 1 Corinthians 2, 7 and 8. The whole thing is a mystery. In fact, that word mystery is very much Pauline. If you search the word mystery, it's all over Paul's letters. It would not be like the word mystery in a concordance, some sort of software search would just come up all over the place. It's Pauline. So what's happening is this functions a number of ways. In the ancient world, the idea that the world about us was inexplicable is understandable. People died and suffered for reasons they didn't understand. I mean, imagine people just knew nothing about they didn't know there was a thing called oxygen. I mean, that's a fairly recent discovery. They didn't know that the heart pumps blood that's now rich with oxygen throughout our bodies. It was actually a Christian Unitarian that figured that out, and he was executed because he was a Unitarian by Calvin. Michael Severtus is the one who discovered pulmonary circulation. They didn't know anything. They just knew that there was, for inexplicable reasons, people suffered and died. Why? Like, what's going on? I just married this girl, now she's dead. What happened? You understand? I mean, imagine antibiotics didn't exist. There were people who dodged bullets. My grandmother, of blessed memory, I don't know, I guess it was in the, I think it was in the late 1930s. She got tuberculosis. And, I'm sure it was the 1930s. She had tuberculosis. So they sent her to Colorado. My father was already born. And she was a young woman. And she was on some mountain where the air is fresh, and she survived. She beat it before there were antibiotics. She beat it. She survived. So the world about us was mysteriously horrible. Just they didn't understand any of this stuff, right? And you might feel really good now, but when something goes wrong, right, and your leg is swollen and hot, and you're going, what's wrong with me? And you're pounding on the doctor's door, help me out. Well, the ancient world was full of, so the idea that there were mysteries that were inexplicable was all over the place. The mystery religions, that's what Christianity is. It's simply a collection of all these ideas that were pervasive in the Greco-Roman world and far beyond, and then synchronize them with Judaism. So the idea that the Messiah is supposed to be a mystery is a kind of mystery religion thing. It's very, very prominent in Mark. Matthew gets rid of a lot of that, but not all of that. And it also explains away to the generation following Jesus' death of why didn't he go around saying he's the Messiah if he was the Messiah? Oh, it was a big secret. Oh, I get it. And that's how Mark, it's a very clever book. Of all the four Gospels, Mark, in a sense, is the most clever because it's the least embellished. So it's a big secret, but what do we find at the end of the book of Mark at the cross? You have the Roman centurion who figures out, he is the Son of God. You know, it's a nightmare because it makes the Jews look terrible. You know, and the Roman centurion, that's a very high level. That's not a soldier. You know, centurion is way, way up there. Centurions have their own slaves and So it's like he represents the empire, you understand? So it's the mystery that the Roman figured out, but those Jews, they couldn't wrap there. So that's what's really going on there. Anyways, a great question. Thank you for whoever you are. Thank you. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל